Say it again.
And now, with the Minstrel Show update with your correspondent, Jennifer Duval. How's everybody doing? This is Sean Dunn, you know me, Jennifer Duval. I'm over here telling a little brother right now, and it's still good. You see it? I'm listening to the Minstrel Show.
Say it again. This was actually one of them records that the label loved. They definitely was happy we made this record. There was talks, we just never got to it, but there were talks of they wanted to do a video for this record because they really loved the energy of this record. But this was just a fun record to do, man. Like, you know, Tay and I going back and forth and just, you know, I feel that's when we kind of at our best, is when we really let our guard down and you know, really have fun with it and doing the going back and forth thing and trading off. And this is just one of them jams, man. It's infectious. Like, when you hear it, the bounce, the energy, and it just make you want to get up and dance or something, two-step, whatever you do.
Right. Next one's Fifth and Fashion skit.
Yo, what's going on, baby? What's going on? Yo, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Just doing me, but I got a stain on my left A1.
You kidding me? I was dropping down to get my eagle on and broke the heel right off of an
Oh, where can we?
Take us back to that concept. Who came up with that idea?
I think that was a combination of Tay and Big Doe. Just, you know, we, like I said, once again, Tay has a brilliant way of turning inside jokes into skits, and it's just something we used to always do and talk about. Like, you know, you go in certain stores and it's just like a hodgepodge of shit that they got in the store, and so, you know, one day we were just like, yo, what if we had a hodgepodge store and we just started the game was trying to think of the most random combination of things that you can think of that would be in the store, like, you know, a shoelace and, you know, the inner tube of a tire. Like, two things just have nothing to do with the other, and they just random in itself. So, you know, that joke just turned into a skit, and you know, obviously got the music and the singing with it, and that's Tay, Yazara, and then Big Doe comes in later as the quote unquote guy who runs the store. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
That's all that was, man. Like I said, a lot of these skits just are inside jokes that Tay developed into skits.
One of the bangers of many bangers, Loving It.
I'm gonna get it started up one more time. I got the number down right here. I'm looking at it. I couldn't believe she was doing me like that, baby. I just don't understand it, dog. Can't understand it. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome y'all back to the Minstrel Show. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all for watching a lot of the stations.
Got several questions about this song. Joe Scudder wasn't originally supposed to be on this song. Is that correct?
That's correct. So what happened was this was the second song we recorded for the album, and we actually performed this song for like a whole year before the album even came out. But the idea was, so when Ninth went and played beats for Jay-Z, he was like, this is one of the beats that kind of piqued Jay-Z's interest at the time. But obviously he went on to make something on the spot for him. But so the idea, you know, we was gonna shoot for the moon. We was on Atlantic. We was like, hey, why not try to get a Jay-Z feature? And then we was just like, yo, let's put somebody on it as a placeholder just in case we don't get a Jay feature. And so obviously we used who's around us, and Scudder was around, and he's like, yo, let's put Scudder on the record. And that's how Scudder ended up on the record. But the idea was always to eventually try to get the Jay feature, and that just never happened. Like, I mean, we didn't even pursue it wholeheartedly, but it never ended up happening. And I mean, Scudder killed his verse anyway, so it ended up working out.
Right. My man DITC beat me to the punch. He says BET didn't play the video. What was the story behind that whole thing?
I mean, we never got the full, you know, honest, straight up rundown from anybody, but, you know, in a nutshell, I mean, just from the get-go, the shit was doomed. The video was doomed. that wasn't even the original idea, the original concept of the video, but you know, the label kept making us pare the idea down. They kept making us, you know, prune it and, you know, whitewash it or whatever. And so we ended up just changing the whole idea for the video. And we made the video as, I don't know how this video could be misconstrued as anything other than what it was, but just what we heard from the label was BT didn't want to play it, and you know, felt like we as a group was too intelligent for their audience, which is, you know, insulting to their audience, not us.
Right.
But it had nothing to do with the video. It was just the type of music we was making wasn't the type of music that was popular at the time, and that was the whole problem. It had nothing to do with the video. It was more to do with our music versus the popular music. So,
Right.
like
And
I said,
this is a time of maybe the Chingy era and the Lil Jon. Is that
yeah,
kind of
it's '05, so you know you got all that going on, and I mean the most disappointing thing about it all, I think that's when anything we was hurt and disappointed is like, but that's when we really started to learn what was what as far as the business go. It's like, this is Black entertainment television. How can we not get played on Black entertainment television? Like, we're doing the MTVU Awards, we're doing all these different pieces for MTV, but we're not getting played on Black entertainment television. Not realizing at the time, Viacom, the same company that owns MTV, owns BET. So, you know, just how deep the game really go. But it was definitely a disappointing thing. Very disappointing thing.
my man DITC also says Lil Wayne freestyled on that beat on his dedication mixtape. Did you hear that, and how did that make you feel at the time?
Definitely, it was dope, man. You know, actually, man, still, man, shout out to Wayne. The thing about Wayne, and shout out to Currency. We met Wayne and you know, obviously this ain't got nothing to do with the Minstrel Show, but we ended up meeting Wayne at '06 at Houston All-Star Weekend. He was doing the radio interview, and we were next up to go do our interview, and we didn't know Wayne knew us. And we just heard him, like, you know, you could hear what's going on air outside in the next room. And we heard Wayne, you know, give us a shout out, like, yo, shout out to like, well, what happened was they asked Wayne to freestyle. He was like, nah, I ain't doing that. And he's like, you know, shout out to little brother, you know, out in the hallway. And so when he came out, we was like, shit, let's go meet him then. And, you know, we walked up to him, was like, yo, man, appreciate the shout out. And he was like, yo, I'm a fan. You know what I'm saying? I fuck with y'all. I love what y'all doing. And, you know, that's how we ended up getting him on the Get Back album. But a couple years later, I was on tour with Murs, and I was in New Orleans, and Currency came out to the show. And Currency told me, he was like, yo, I was there the day you met Wayne. He's like, you ain't recognize me. I was in the cut, but I put Wayne on to y'all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a huge fan, and I put Wayne on to y'all.
I can see that. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, word? Like, that's crazy. And so, you know, me and Currency chopped it up about that. But yeah, but Wayne, he definitely, you know, fired off on that joint. And then, you know, when I called him, got in touch with him and called him for Get Back, man, within the week, he sent back the vocals, and you know, with nothing to it. Like, he just gave them back. Like, hey, y'all go. Whatever y'all need, let me know. And you know, it was dope.
That's dope. Let's jump into Diary of a Mad Black Daddy.
Don't stop, can't stop.
Cornell.
I want it. Can't stop, won't stop. Yes,
Cornell.
don't stop, can't stop.
Cornell.
Yes, Dad.
What, cut off that damn TV show watching that ignorant ass shit? Got you messing up your homework. Damn Minstrel Show niggas. Making black folks look like damn fools.
Take us back.
Shout out to my man Jermaine. It's that the guy playing the Mad Black Daddy is Cat Jermaine. I think it's Jermaine White. The barbershop we all went to in Durham, he was one of them guys who always came through the barbershop loud, you know, cracking jokes. You know, that's back when, you know, you used to go to the barbershop. It wasn't appointments being made. You had to go sit in there and wait. You know, if that meant you wait 4 hours, you waited 4 hours. But
Right.
the barbershop was, a thing where, all different types of conversations took place, and, you learned a lot, you laughed a lot. And he was just one of them guys that came through and was very, outgoing, and, just his energy was always great. And so, his voice, it's about his voice and his tone. And so we wanted a skit that really led into what we was about to get into next, the next topic. And shout out to Corey. The kid is actually Big Doe's oldest son,
Okay.
Corey. So we just wanted a skit that really led into the next record, which is All For You. But it ended up, that skit became its own thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to this day, people still come up to me, can't stop, won't stop bringing them damn F's home. Like, you know what I mean? That's literally Jermaine, because we ended up bringing him back for Made a Little Watch. And that's literally Jermaine. That's him. You know what I'm saying? Like, we give him the idea and let him go. And he goes. And that's just naturally him.
Dope. All For You.
Hip-hop. It's your boy. I got some things I want to say to you, man. Just a couple words. Bear with me. Give me a minute. Time to face it. Sitting in the middle of the basement, holding the jack. I'm anticipating he gon' call me back. Got so much on my mind, ain't no holding it back. In fact, I give a fuck how he gon' react for my first night.
All For You, co-starring Darian Brockington.
That record, saying I wanted to do a record that talked about growing up when, your father not in the household. Like, neither one of us grew up with our fathers in the household. And how, as you get older and you start to ask questions and get answers for them questions you're asking, how things isn't as black and white as you want it to be, or as you thought it was when you were younger. And so, just from my perspective, that record, I didn't meet my father until I was 19.
Wow.
And so that's kind of reliving, my verse is reliving my emotions as I finally decided to take that step to meet my dad. Like, I actually knew his mom. I used to go to his mom's house. I knew his brothers and sisters, but I had never met him. And so that was just me. That basically describes like a 2-day period when I finally decided I wanted to reach out, me reaching out, him reaching out back, and just, kind of the path that we were on. And it's so crazy because that happened years. Obviously, I was 24, 25 when we made the record. So we had known each other for 6 years by this time. And he called me when he heard the record and was like, yo, do we still got something else we need to talk about? Like, I'm like, nah, Dad, I'm just reliving the moment. Like, it ain't, I'm not there now. It's just me reliving the moment, like how I felt then, when we first ended up meeting each other. But so yeah, that was the point of that song, man. We just felt it was important because things aren't always black and white. And I love my mom to death, but it's like when I grew up with my mom, so you only getting her side, her version, her emotions, of the situation, and not the other side. So that's one of them things when you start to really dig into it and figure out the other side, is like both of y'all at fault. Like, it ain't just the dad or the mom, you know what I'm saying? It's both of y'all. And that's kind of what we wanted to convey with that record.
Next cut, Watch Me.
Yeah, I go by the name of Crisis. What happened to your web team? Right now, you in tune to the biggest colored show on earth. The Minstrel Show. I can't afford to not record, so I call my name Crisis, tell them hit the boards. Then I call tape, put the pedal to the floor. Before we do the shop, gotta stop by the store.
Take us back.
Watch Me. That's actually not even the original version of that song. Ninth originally, he did the original beat for that record, but for us, it just wasn't sitting right. Like, it didn't have the pop, the energy that we needed. And we heard this beat from Crisis, and we went back and reformatted our our verses to fit this joint, and it gave us that energy and that that vibe, that feel that we needed, for it to be kind of on the back half of the record, and it held us to we on the listening, we had one track that wasn't produced by Ninth. And so we wanted to do the same thing here. And Crisis ended up having that track that wasn't produced by Ninth. And I see DITC forever. Jazzy Jeff definitely on the cuts. Obviously, we big fans of Jeff. And we got a chance to meet Jeff. And we reached out. And he came through and was like, yeah, no problem. I got it. And he did what Jeff do. You know what I'm saying? Came with them sharp precision cuts. And we just felt that was a nice touch to, for us. Like we didn't care if anybody else could appreciate, what was going on. Like for us, that was a big deal. Like this is Jazzy Jeff, from the Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff. and so it was a nice dope touch. And I think is it this song? One of these songs I think James Poise also played the keys on. So another nice touch for us that, was real big. Like I said, those little things that, some people obviously noticed, but we didn't care. Like we knew. And so yeah, definitely Watching Me, man. That's actually one of my favorite joints to perform as well.
So Sincerely Yours.
Man, my bad I missed your bar mitzvah, man. But I'll catch you later. Keep it moving. Stay up. One. All right, Tubbs.
Every lifetime is a lesson. This is what I find. No matter who you are,
It don't matter.
gonna have you hurt now.
It's time to come up, baby.
Whatever
It's whatever.
comes around.
Oh, yeah. I walk with the swag of a letterman. No amateur here, I'm a veteran. You couldn't find many more who was better than Big Pooh when he rocking the mic. No games, no hype. Just
Take us back.
Sincerely Yours. Obviously that's my solo track. And at the time, this is when the internet was really starting to it was boards, it was message boards at the time. Like it wasn't social media. It was message boards, but they were really starting to become very influential into music. And I remember when we put out the listening, just going on the boards and everybody's talking about how like I was the weak link and they need to replace me and whatever. And I took that personal. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew I needed to get better, but I took that very personal. And so by the time we got to this song, like I wanted to make a song kind of addressing that. Because the one thing people don't realize is, and it just took me years and maturity to really be able to verbalize what I wanted to say. But a group, everybody, when they make these fantasy groups, they always, not always, but a lot of times they put alike people in a group together, not realizing that's not how groups work.
Right.
If you have two of the same thing in a group, that's redundancy, and the group it's gonna burn out fast. And they didn't understand my role in the group, the role I played, the importance of, what I played in the group. And so for me, it was just like me really expressing, the newfound confidence that I had at the time, just letting them know, like, regardless of what y'all say, I know I'm nice. My team think I'm nice. That's why I'm here. And, it is what it is. Because if people don't know, like, Tay doesn't hold punches when it comes to his criticism or his critiques, especially if he knows, like, even if he knows you, like, it doesn't, he's not going to hold no punches. So,
Right.
So that was just the thing for me, just really expressing to the people that I hear what y'all saying, but fuck what y'all saying. I know I'm nice. You know what I mean?
Right. The Minstrel Show closing theme. We'll jump into that real quick.
imagine if this is the last time I ever wrote.
Oh, this still
the
lives
last
through.
words that I ever spoke. Nope, I'ma keep serving them because there's somebody out there that never
Oh,
even
still lives
heard
through.
of him. Or the
Yeah.
songs I be murdering. Now it's a whole herd of men that following this footstep. I did it all.
Still lives through.
Yeah, that's That's an homage to Tribe Called Quest. And what's the record? Is it God Lives Through?